Hi there. Thank you for tuning in to Grow Your Gifts. We're going to continue today with the researchers that I felt drawn to, called to, and have helped me immensely in the field of early child care. And we're just sticking to the message. Always the message and not the messenger. And next on my list is Lev Vygotsky, and I'm just going through my screenshots and whatever comes to mind comes to mind. So Mr. Lev Vygotsky, 1896 to 1934, was a Russian psychologist and teacher who developed a theory of child development that emphasizes the importance of social interactions and learning. Cool. Yeah, socio-cultural theory of cognitive development. Vygotsky's theory states that social interactions with others are essential for children's development, that culture influences how children learn. Zone of proximal development. This is the range of skills and knowledge that a child can learn with guidance, but not yet independently. Scaffolding. This is the support that parents and teachers provide to help children learn, such as guiding them through a task and gradually giving them more control. Practical learning. Educators should provide real-world examples and experiences instead of abstract concepts. Peer learning. Children can learn from more skilled peers through collaborative activities and peer tutoring. Group activities. Teachers can facilitate group activities and encourage collaborative learning. Vygotsky's work has had a lasting influence on psychology and education. His theories were repressed under the Stalin regime but became more widely known in the 1980s. So Vygotsky's social development theory asserts that a child's cognitive development and learning ability can be guided and mediated by their social interactions. I think I already said that one, I'm not sure. And he states that learning is a crucially social process as opposed to an independent journey of discovery. So what are 5 stages of Vygotsky's theory? Vygotsky saw child development as consisting of passing through a series of periods of stable development, namely infancy, early childhood, preschool age, school age, and puberty. These periods of stable development are punctuated by periods of crisis at birth and at ages 1, 3, 7, and 13. Interesting. Yeah, so Vygotsky said the same is true for learning. I'm just picking up from this website. Let's see, which website is this? It is etsu.edu/teaching. So I think it's from a university or something. So yeah, let's see what they're saying from online. He said we learn best when new material is in the zone of proximal development, ZPD. Not too easy and just challenging enough. That with a little help from a more learned individual, we can master the material and shift our zone upward. The process of receiving help from others to master material is called scaffolding. If you think of a wall being built, it initially has scaffolding to support the structure, which is gradually removed as the structure is capable of standing on its own. I love scaffolding. I don't know if you could tell, but I do. Okay, I've used it a lot. Vygotsky said this happens in learning too. We receive help from people who know more until we know enough on our own and no longer require assistance to grasp that bit of knowledge. A simple and concrete example of this is when we help children learn to ride a bicycle, first with training wheels, then as we hold on, and so on. So the process of receiving help from others to master material, wait, I lost my spot. Yeah, I think I just took a double screenshot there. That's okay. So a simple concrete example, yeah, bicycle, training wheels, and then we hold the bicycle steady for them, and with some verbal coaching as well. And children ride independently. Their ZPD for bike riding just shifted upward, and perhaps, unfortunately, they are now ready to work on mastering more difficult stunts like wheelies or hands-free riding, which will likely be learned from more skilled peers rather than sensible adults. The most useful takeaway point from Vygotsky's theory as pertained to college instruction. So you can also do this. This website is more talking about how to teach students in a college environment. So that's why I love, this researcher, because I've used it so much for myself as well as an adult, and just healing whatever wounds and trauma that I've needed to heal, and acquiring new skills. Because when you go through severe trauma as from early childhood, which pretty much everyone I know has, or even as an adult, your growth becomes stunted in a way. I'm sure you've noticed, in certain specific ways to you. And I think, those are opportunities for growth because, it's all there to teach us something. It sucks when it happens and you're like, why is everyone else seems so easy for them, these things? I don't know, socially interacting or whatever. I had a lot of anxiety with being social back then. And, why was this so challenging for me? And so this researcher really, really helped me sort of connect the dots with these things over the years as I was working with children and applying his theories there. Then I was also applying it with myself. So this is to, students in a college setting. So making new material challenging but not too difficult, and ensuring students receive some coaching assistance as they learn. So how can I help students master more challenging material? Provide as much support as possible for new and challenging tasks. Students can choose as much or as little as they need depending on their level of ZPD. Some examples of support can be provided include, so this is like, for older people, checklists. These break down larger tasks into smaller ones that feel more surmountable. Some of the smaller tasks may be within the student's range of what they can already do or know. For example, review previous material on ... Materials on resources on reserve or online. Provide lists of resources that may be useful for learning the material and make them easily accessible to students through hard copy or e-reserve at the library. Links to useful online resources can also be provided. Modeling. Provide a demonstration to the class of a similar problem or case in order for them to see how the task should be tackled. Video talk through. Resources can also be provided. Like this is gold. This is super gold. Modeling. Provide a demonstration to the class of a similar problem or case in order for them to see how the task should be tackled. Maybe I got mixed up there. Anyways, video talk through, particularly useful for online classes that don't get to see you regularly in class. Create a short video of yourself explaining the task or new material. Sometimes an oral explanation is clearer than a written one. And visual too, yeah? It's nice. Someone acts it out for you. So take advantage of the variety of ZPDs among your students. Some students will be more advanced toward mastery of your course material than others. Try grouping students so that each group has varying levels of mastery. The more advanced students will be able to help scaffold for the less advanced students. Be sure, however, to consider the learning needs of your more advanced students as well, perhaps by issuing them additional challenges. These don't necessarily need to be for credit. So I've definitely seen the positive and negative side of doing that. Done consciously with awareness and done sort of more haphazardly. So the positive side, we had book club and everything in growing up in junior high and stuff in high school, and we would always be paired with an older student, and there were so many benefits from that. And it's just, you read a book together and then you discuss it, and it really, for me, it brought the love for language. Like, I grew up with two older sisters, but these are not people that I know. They're not my sisters. So it was just another partner. So you're paired with an older peer, and then I'm their younger peer. So we're book club buddies or bookworms or something. And I remember it was very enriching, and English actually became my best class. That I enjoyed, and obviously got the best grade in because I enjoyed it so much. So things like that. And then on the flip side, we had, like, not blaming or shaming here, but I'm sure she was doing the best with what she knew, but it was like Hindi classes, and we were all bunched together, and it was just like a mess. And I wasn't learning any Hindi because I was one of the youngest people in the class, and then there's the older ones, and it was not taking advantage of this, where it's like you can have the older children sort of help the younger ones, and the older children are gaining as well by teaching and going through the material with the younger ones. So the adults usually there and overseeing everything, and so that's great. But yeah, there's definitely a way. I wish I knew Hindi, basically. But anyway, I could still learn as an adult. It's just easier to learn languages when you have a sponge brain as a child. A 6-year-old can actually learn 7 different languages. That's pretty amazing. And the best and easiest way for them to learn is, like, one way anyway, is like grandpa talks one language, auntie talks a different language. Like, it's when they start doing that, their English will go down at first, but then the basic structure of language is there in all languages. So those neural pathways get strengthened, and by the time they're 8, 9, 10, they're pretty proficient in those, like, 6, 7 languages. I mean, just to know what's possible, that's pretty cool. If you know the process of teaching, and it's all little by little, bit by bit. It's not like, oh, we're gonna have a French lesson today, and da 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 da. It's conversational is usually the best way with someone who's already fluent in it. So that's where that ZPD comes in, and it was just saying that, yeah, try grouping students so that each group has varying levels of mastery, and the more advanced students will be able to help scaffold for the less advanced students. So that's the way to do it. That's one way, and it's actually, I've done it over and over and over again, and it's very successful, I found. Even with the children who are slightly older or more advanced in the classroom, in the toddler room, preschool, wherever, infant room, or they've been there longer, they know the routine, and putting them with the brand new one, and the brand new one's like crying and losing it, like, where's my mom and dad? And then they look at the one, who's been there a while, and they're like, wait, why is she so chill? Maybe I'm freaking out for nothing. And they're watching everything, they're observing everything. So scaffolding really helps put things into, like, a step-by-step sort of break it down. So what is the theory of early childhood education? Early childhood education theories emphasize the importance of providing enriching experiences that stimulate and nurture children's cognitive growth. Children can enhance their language, problem-solving, and critical thinking skills through interactive activities, playful exploration, and guided instruction. I think it's important to just bring it back home, and how this connects to early childhood education as well. So what are the 3 speeches of Vygotsky? Vygotsky's account of speech internalization is premised on the existence of 3 different forms of speech activity: external speech, or social speech; egocentric speech, or private speech; and inner speech. I won't go into that too much. You can always look it up more, but I just remember during my early childhood education classes back in 2003 to 2005 that really stuck out to me. So yeah, if you want to research Vygotsky's 3 speeches more, you can always look into that. It's definitely very intriguing. So Vygotsky in 1978 has stressed that children learn best when what is to be learned is functional and relevant, indicating that learning to read would be better approached as a whole to part or whole language process, which encourages understanding and pleasure in the written word. I love it. So, who are the theorists who influenced early childhood education? Yeah, and I also just wanted to quickly note, pretty much, yeah, we went over all of these awesome, amazing researchers. Again, I don't know them as people, but their message and what wisdom they imparted, you kind of piece things together. Nobody has the whole picture, but they really helped. So I just throw them out there because, most of them didn't speak to me. And I was like, whatever, Freud, you messed up, all right? I don't like it. So you don't have to go with the researchers that you don't like, obviously, just whatever you gravitate towards, because everybody has a different approach to early child care and their own development as well. So who are the theorists who influenced early childhood education? Theorists presented include Sigmund Freud, whatever. He's overrated in my opinion. Anyways, that's my personal what do you call it? Preference. Yeah. Maria Montessori, who I love, her message. Arnold Giselle, Gesell, I don't know. Arnold, Gesell. Okay. Lev Vygotsky, Jean Piaget, Rudolf Dreikurs. Sounds very familiar. Erik Erikson, I remember sticking out in my mind, but I haven't included in these videos. Abraham Maslow, we will be going over briefly Maslow. John Bowlby. B.F. Skinner, also I will cover a little bit. Benjamin Spock, Lawrence Kohlberg, T. Barry Brazelton, Diana Baumrind, and Howard Gardner is the last one I will be covering as well in these videos about theorists who influence early childhood education. Yeah. So theorists like Piaget and Vygotsky considered play to be an important part of childhood as a path to the learning process. So you can see how it all connects. Like as soon as you tap into motivation and what interests them, it makes learning that much easier and that much more effective. Not everything is going to be play. Some things are work and you just have to do it. But if you can make it more playful, especially when they're children, because that's their love language basically. And you notice that too. So it's just how they naturally acquire information more readily in my experience. And I've tried both ways. I've experimented a lot just to kind of see and gain data for myself and be like, well, maybe the old school way, they had some, positives, and let me test it out for myself. And no, I mean, they did. There were positives, but generally speaking, and these are old school guys too. Like, this is from a long time ago, and they're piecing it together that, hey, it's pretty basic and clear that when you're having fun, you're learning automatically. Like, it's pretty clear. Anyway, the parenting posse. This is from AlanaRobinson.com website. Very awesome information on this website. So you probably know that Lev. Oh, shoot. Okay, let me skip that part. Okay, children build their understanding of the world. So she is talking about Vygotsky here more. So, by what they experience. If a child has an experience over and over, they're going to understand that experience as truth until proven otherwise. Now, when Vygotsky came on the scene, he kind of turned the early childhood development. Okay, maybe I didn't want to include that part. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm all over the place today. That's okay. It happens. It happens. Okay. All this means that is that parents have a huge influence on their child's development. So we teach, the child internalizes, and then uses that internalized information to regulate their behavior. This person doesn't necessarily have to be an adult, it can be another child. For example, of a child moving another child through the zone of proximal development from, yeah. And she gives an example. So Vygotsky believed that in order to scaffold children, well guides need to be keen observers. I mean, that's most of what we do in early child care centers as well. It's a huge part of it. And we actually sit and take observational data throughout the day, here and there, but basically on a daily basis or at least on a weekly basis. That's where all the juice is. That's where all the good stuff is. And as you get to know these children as individuals, yeah, their learning just becomes way more multifaceted and more in depth and more rich and more. This is like the foundation, right? So we're hoping that it's gonna impact them as adults as well with that solid foundation, because somebody really took time to notice and observe closely what they're doing and make note of it, and then include it, incorporate it into the activity planning and material prep and all of that good stuff, changing the environment classroom to better meet their needs. So we need to watch what they're doing, see what they're trying to do, and where the gaps in their knowledge are. Our job as parents, as guides, is to give them the minimum amount of help we can that will help them connect those dots. This is where that qualitative research comes in. If we see that a child can do something functionally, we don't have to go and test them formally. Yeah, exactly. And with like working with children with autism, we would do that with prompting a lot. It's called prompting. Um, and we would fade our prompts as we go. So, you know, if a child can, I don't know, sit in the chair by themselves, I'm not going to go in with a physical prompt or anything like that. But I might say, okay, Jack, please sit down. Give them that's a verbal prompt. So, but from the beginning, I would say verbal prompt as well as full physical prompt at the same time if that's something they have difficulty with. So, I'm gently, but helping them like to sit down, right? And then I fade the prompts to, because then we've been doing that, and when I say sit down, he's already moving to go sit down, but then I need to help a little bit with, maybe touch on the elbow and prompt that way. So I keep fading my prompts and giving less and less support until all I say is, Jack, sit down, and he does it on his own independently. So that's what we want. We want autonomy and try to build that independence, right? And that feeling that they can do it by themselves, but sometimes they need that extra support. But then we keep fading and fading that support as they get more and more competent in that skill. Yeah, so that expression of competence should be just as valid, is what they're saying. So we need to push our kids sometimes. The other shift that Vygotsky was really the catalyst for was the idea that we need to push our kids sometimes. Well, yeah, but for context, because, wait, I don't want to include all that. We'll skip over that. Language presents the shared experience necessary for cognitive development. Language encourages cognitive development by inciting conversations because growing and learning doesn't necessarily happen naturally. Humans are lazy. So, by provoking conversation, either with our children or between children, we create the environment for cognitive development. Yeah. I remember in a workshop, like a child needs to hear a word, I don't know, 1,000 times or something for it to like, for them to really master it. So, yeah, I did do language of language and literacy. I volunteered and did like a workshop with parents. So parents would come in and with their children, and we do like story time, and it was just showing the importance of language and literacy and how to read to your children and different ways. It was really cool, really interesting. So just making it a part of your routine and making it easy for you as the parent to keep doing that repetition. And it's really important to kind of pair the language with what they're doing. I mean, you don't want to be talking all the time. Sometimes it's important just to let them be in the moment. But when you, yeah, definitely, I think that's an important part for cognitive development is the language as well. Vygotsky also introduced the idea of executive functions and cognitive control, and now it's been proven that executive functions are the main predictor for school success, far more than any academic learning. Children who lack these skills aren't able to learn in a deliberate manner. Yeah, that was huge light bulb, because, even just with my own personal development, it's like you're trying to run up against a brick wall. It's like, well, I wasn't, I was kind of lacking in some executive functions. So it's like, what's the point of even trying to, I jump it from A to Z, in the alphabet. You can't. You got to go through the whole alphabet in your personal learning journey and lifelong learning. And you got to scaffold and all of that executive function, fun, good, amazing stuff. If that makes any sense. So incorporate building those skills into their daily lives in a playful, simple way. Because executive functions are built through practice, and it's been shown through research that children really develop those skills of self-regulation in the first 5 years of life. So it's sad, I wasn't getting that for whatever reason in my early childhood. I kind of like was the boss in the first 5 years. I was really psychic and emotionally empathetic in terms of like, I know what to do, even though I'm like 5 years old. And then I had the shock of like some military punishment style, which was horrible. And from 6 years on and onward, so all the playfulness was gone. So I had, the worst of both ends of laissez-faire and controlling styles of parenting. My parents are more like hippie laissez-faire style, and the controlling style is from extended family and stuff. So wires were crossed for sure. So as I learned my executive functioning skills bit by bit, I did it in a purposely and deliberately playful way. Whatever I could think of, put on my dance music, my 1990s music, house music, whatever, and had fun with it as much as I could and be playful. And that helped those things stick, I do the work, I do the journaling. Sometimes my hand cramps from too much writing. So I'm working hard, but I'm also trying to make sure that it's motivating for me in some way. And, it's continuous, lifelong learning, right? You know where you're lacking and where you need to build yourself up in some areas that may have had, growth stunted for whatever reason. All right, so that's it for today. Next time we're going to talk about Maslow. Let me just see. I think I did want to add some things from the beginning that came to mind from Vygotsky. Very important things. Um, let's see. He talked about socio-cultural theory of cognitive development, social interactions. Yeah, like I've seen a lot of homeschooling and things like that, and that's amazing and great. And but there are like homeschooling pods I've come across as well, which is so valuable for that social interaction piece. And these are places like they'll, off-grid kind of community, and they have a homeschooling pod, so they're learning, math and literacy and everything that they need to learn, but they're also learning like gardening and woodworking in a safe way. That's the other thing. Children are very capable, so if you're exposing them to these things that from an early age that is in a very safe way, then and that's easy. You can look it up online. How do I teach a child woodworking at this specific age? And there's so much ideas for materials and things that you can do, and they just start learning the motion and how to hold a hammer and things like that. So, yeah, homeschool pods are like, whoa, that's awesome. And also forest schools. That's really interesting. So just having that peer-to-peer interaction and seeing the older kids and how they do things, and whoa, it's windy. I've really seen that help a lot. And zone of proximal development we've talked about a lot. So they can learn with guidance, but not independently yet, so you're always fading those prompts here and there. And scaffolding, whoa. So that's like the bicycle with the training wheels, and then you're holding onto the bike and letting go. Yeah, we went over that quite a bit. Practical learning. Educators should provide real life world examples and experiences instead of abstract concepts. So yeah, like things like Baby Einstein and all that stuff is fun and great to see on the video or on TV, but like even from my own childhood, the things that I remember the most are those practical experiences, like going to the science center. My mom was chaperoning. I felt like she was like a celebrity. I was like, everybody, this is my money. She's holding her hand the whole time. She's like, you don't need to hold my hand. So anyways, yeah, a little obsessed with my mom. But that was really fond memories, and we would go to a community swimming pool, learn swimming, or the community skating rink to learn skating, and so many of these awesome experiences where I think we went to Casa Loma in Toronto, and there's like a secret passageway, and there's just like imagination and all this cool stuff comes alive. And when you're engaging, really, I don't know what kind of stuff they have these days for field trips, but in the 90s it was awesome. And I loved it. Those kind of field trips. Peer learning. So yeah, we talked about the negative and positive way to do that. You got to oversee. There is peer tutoring. So at a certain age, you can assess for yourself like how the tutor is. Like I had the bookworm club. So you always have a leader, and if you have a problem with your partner, you want a different partner, you can tell the leader, that sort of thing. So not everyone's going to get along, right? So that's where adults come in and kind of help and support and facilitate that peer learning as well. But it's so valuable, and just learning skills from your older siblings. That was my best and most fun time, is when I helped transform that older sibling, younger sibling relationship. They had positives, of course, to begin with. Like parents work hard on, building that relationship with their children of different ages. But there's always going to be butting heads and upsets and stuff, and like they just get to that age where like, oh, you don't understand me, I'm the big sister, you don't know what it's like. And then the little one's like, oh, you don't understand me, I'm the little brother and you don't know what it's like, right? So I did a lot of like one-on-one and trying to help them see, when I was sort of babysitting or working in the home. And I would use basic clear language and kind of the end result was, you need to show this person respect, basically. And this is why. Even though I wouldn't use that word respect because it's not something that's in their language, dictionary at this point. So I would use, like, the little 5-year-old, I'd be like talking to them about how to, say more please and thank you with the big sister or the big brother because, um, how do you, is it nice when someone says that to you as well? And just more friendliness and bringing it back to the heart. So, I mean, these children, sometimes they were in tears. Like, this is very heavy work, okay? And there's a lot of processing going on, so mentally and emotionally. And just giving that one-on-one work. And then when you see them interact with each other after, like weeks and weeks after, and the other, like the older siblings shocked, like, oh my God, my kid sister just said please and thank you, like what's happening? So yeah, peer learning, there is a way to do it in a very conscious and effective and heart-centered approach. Group activities, teachers can facilitate group activities, encourage collaborative learning. Yeah, I'm a big what's the word, supporter. I'm a big supporter of small group activities and large group activities. And there's so much information online on how to do those as well. A lot of fun, a lot of great stuff here today. And yeah, I guess these videos end up being almost 40 minutes, but there you go. That's Vygotsky for you today, and tomorrow we'll go over Maslow. All right, thank you. I hope this helps. And I'm signing off, and I wish you well.